this morning's announcement.
Yeah, on the reef, yes.
On the reef, there's reports today that a third of the reef now has died due to mass bleaching or something approaching that. What can the coalition do to prevent further bleaching? Has the commitments that either party have made been sufficient to solve the problem? And can more money simply be thrown at the problem when climate change presents such a serious threat to the reef?
Yeah, right. Well, thank you very much. The reef and the health of the reef is a great passion of mine and my government. When I was Minister for the Environment in the Howard government, of course, I was responsible for the protection of the Great Barrier Reef. Now, let me say to you that we have increased funding for the protection of the reef in the last budget, and you've seen that, substantial additional funds. I'd also note that $200 million of the emissions reduction fund that Greg Hunt administers, $200 million of that has been spent on buying carbon offsets from farmers in the catchments that lead into the reef. So they have been reducing greenhouse gas emissions and at the same time reducing the flow of nutrients into the reef. This is a big issue, and it's important that we continue to invest in ensuring that land management practices do not see more nutrients going into the reef. And this is it's a very big agenda. Now, let me tell you about progress, because this is important. When the Labor government was in power, the World Heritage Committee of UNESCO put the reef on the watch list, and it was being considered as to whether it would be listed as endangered. And there was a very, very thorough review, and as you know, the decision of the World Heritage Committee last year was not to put the Great Barrier Reef on the endangered list, and the chairman of the World Heritage Committee, Maria Boehmer, the German chairman of the committee, said that our management, that's to say Australia's management of the Great Barrier Reef, was a world-class exemplar of coral reef management. So there is no question that we are doing a good job. Now, going to coral bleaching caused by global warming, plainly, as I said last night in the debate, that requires a global solution. The great breakthrough was the decision or the agreement in Paris. And what we now have is all of the major economies in the world committed to reducing their greenhouse gas emissions. We have made a very substantial commitment. I expect those commitments will, in future meetings, be increased. And whatever they're increased to, we will, together with other nations, move up and deliver on our commitments. So moving to a world where greenhouse gas emissions are reduced, ideally to a point where greenhouse gas emissions are net zero. That's to say, obviously there'll always be greenhouse gas emissions, but they'll be able to be absorbed into the landscape and in other ways. If we can achieve that, then we will put a brake on global warming, and that's certainly the commitment of the global community, and it's certainly the commitment of my government. We've made very substantial commitments in Paris. Don't imagine that we haven't. You know, our commitments of greenhouse gas emission reductions on a per capita basis, which is obviously the most relevant way of comparing them, is at 52% between 2005 and 2030, and that's the second highest in the OECD. So we are absolutely pulling our weight. We're delivering, and we will continue to commit to reduction targets as agreed to by the global community.